If you grew up anywhere near an American church, you were probably told that horoscopes are a direct pipeline to demonic possession and that doing tarot will have uninvited entities moving into your psyche. Meanwhile, the Christian scripture is full of Cleromancy, astrology, and divine rituals. They didn't ban the occult because it didn't work or because it came straight from Satan. They banned the occult because centralized institutions hate unregulated information. You can't control people that think for themselves. Hi, I'm LefthandLynx, and this is LefthandLynx for now. This is turning into more of a podcast, so I may change that name, but this is where we break down esoteric history into digestible facts to assist people on their journey to deconstruction from dogmatic religion. If you've already deconstructed or you're ready to deconstruct, you're in the right place. Let's get to it. Ugh. Okay, let's start with the Magi. The entire nativity narrative hinges on Zoroastrian astrology, paying attention to planetary conjunctions like Jupiter and Saturn in Pisces. In Matthew 2, the divine herald isn't a prophet, it's an astronomical transit. You hear the dogs and the child in the background. I tried to block them out. There's no escaping. In Genesis 1:14, on the biblical purpose of celestial bodies, it says, "Let there be lights in the dome of the sky and let them serve as signs." The Hebrew word that's used is otat, and go ahead and slay me in the comments because I don't speak Hebrew, but that means omens and signals. They're not using timekeeping, they're using the sky. The Urim and Thummim, that is so hard to say, provided the high priest with the ability to give yes, no, or guilty or innocent verdicts by calling up Yahweh directly and saying, "Hey, brother, is this a yes or no?" and rolling the dice. Well, or casting the lots. They were stones, okay? They were divination stones. In Acts 1:26, we have apostolic lot casting. Yeah, that's Cleromancy. After Judas dies, all of the apostles get together to decide on his replacement, Matthias, and they were like, you know what? The best way to do this? Divination. And so they used Cleromancy, which is just taking different items like stones, bones, crystals, beans, marked sticks, whatever. All these items have predetermined definitions, and they're usually held together, and you kind of jumble them up, and then you cast them. And the resulting message is supposed to be from the divine. And a lot of modern practitioners use that today. I use Cleromancy frequently. In fact, I'm more comfortable with Cleromancy than tarot. But my whole point is that they literally used ancient Greek and Roman divination methods to let spirit decide who was getting promoted. Yeah. And of course, we can't forget Hydromancy. In Genesis 44:5, Joseph the Patriarch openly uses a silver cup for hydromancy scrying, basically scrying with water, and says, "Is not this the cup my Lord drinks from and which he uses for divination? It's framed as an elite skill, not a sin." And scrying is also still common, by the way. And it doesn't have to be with water, it can be with stones, but that's a different video. Let me know if you're interested in a history of divination, I guess. Oh, that sounds fun. We'll probably do that. So basically, when an ordained man pulls a lot from a gold-threaded pocket, it's holy providence. But when a woman does Cleromancy at her kitchen table, it's demonic. Notice that the difference isn't in the mechanics. They're doing the exact same thing. It's about the lack of control of the church. If you do it for Jesus Christ, then there's always someone above you who can tell you what you're doing is wrong or can redefine the definition of whatever your reading is so that it fits their narrative. But if you're doing it on your own and you learn how to do this without anyone's intervention and you learn how to hear your own knowing and listen to your own guides, then all of that control goes away. And all of a sudden you can think for yourself and their hold on you is non-existent. So why does modern Christianity take sparing the rod literally, but all of this proof, if you consider the Bible to be actual history, why is all of that proof completely disregarded and why is it picked and chosen? Well, we know there's a big history of humans rewriting parts of the Bible for their own purposes. Hey, King James V, what's up? But the truth is, divination was actually demonized for economic reasons. It had nothing to do with spirituality. In the ancient Mediterranean, local diviners, seers, and astrologers were basically decentralized power brokers. They were very wealthy. When Constantine and later emperors unified the empire under Christianity, think the Council of Nicaea 325 CE and the Theodosian edicts from 391 CE, unauthorized divination became treason against the state. Again, it's harder to control people who can think for themselves. The modern church frames the verses in Leviticus and Deuteronomy about do not practice divination or seek omens, as if it's some sort of spiritual danger sign, and if you touch the tarot, you're gonna get electrocuted by a high voltage wire. I know those didn't exist back then, but you see my point. But in the original historical context, those verses actually functioned like an ancient trade embargo and border control policy. Again, men using spirituality to control everyone around them. So on one hand, we have the Sunday school pitch. God banned tarot, mediums, and astrology because those tools tap directly into Satan and will poison your soul. But the historical reality is that the ancient Israelites were a small, vulnerable group that were trying to build an independent nation. They were surrounded by massive, wealthy superpowers like Egypt and Canaan and Babylon. In the ancient Near East, diviners, astrologers, mediums, they weren't just spiritual practitioners. They were professional consultants. They were the people that you called when you needed to know when to plant your crops, when to go to war, why your cattle are sick, or you paid your local practitioner. When you were sick, you paid your local practitioner. And the most prestigious established diviners were Canaanites, Egyptians, and Babylonians. When everyday Israelites were spending their money on foreign seers, their wealth was flowing outside of their community, and their cultural loyalty started to shift towards these foreign empires. So in order to survive and maintain political order, the Israelite leaders needed two things. One, they needed cultural separation. If your people start practicing the same things that the neighboring cultures are practicing, your own culture is gonna get swallowed up. And number two, revenue and power. By outlawing outside practitioners in Deuteronomy 18:10-12, the state ensured that if anyone needed guidance, legal judgments, or divine answers, they had to go to the local Levitical priesthood and pay tithes to the temple. You see what I'm saying? That's tea. So TLDR, for those of you that aren't tech nerds, that means too long didn't read. These biblical laws were not cosmic warnings about evil energies or demonic possession. They were ancient political regulations that were designed to keep tax revenue, maintain legal authority, and political loyalty inside of state borders. They needed to keep their people under the control of their central male priesthood. It's also worth noting that the majority of these diviners, seers, and astrologers were women. And that's problematic because a woman that's reading the sky or listening to her own intuition doesn't need a man in power to give her permission to make decisions. Any person who trusts their internal compass is notoriously hard to coerce. The demonization of the occult was first and foremost a risk management strategy for the patriarchy. So if you're deconstructing, if you're deep in deconstruction, if you're brand new to it, if you're right in the middle of your journey, and you still feel lingering twitches of guilt, and I'm not gonna lie, I still do sometimes too, we need to remember that this is ancient state compliant software, and we can uninstall it whenever we want. Now, that isn't gonna happen overnight. Every time we start to feel that guilt, we need to seek out information. Why is this information portrayed the way that it is in the church? What is the purpose of this information? Is this what it was originally? And if it was changed, why was it changed and by who? And if you start to look these things up, which is why they don't want us doing our own research, i.e. why a lot of books are being destroyed lately, then you'll find the answers. You don't need to come to YouTube. You don't need to talk to anybody else. You will find the answers on your own. It's time to take your autonomy back. Look at the sky, do some spells, dance under the moon, do it naked. Who cares? Thanks for being here. If you found value in any part of this video, please don't forget to subscribe. I hope that you all have the week that you deserve, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.